Elimination.
Today we got a chance to speak with Nollner, who is a good friend of both Steven and I's, as well as a staple for this generation of the senior men's épée community in the United States. He had a long 8 to 10 year senior men's épée career on the national and international circuits, as well as capped out by finishing top 50 in the world in seniors, as well as #1 in the United States. He's a wealth of knowledge, inspiration for both Steven and I, as well as currently a coach at the New York Athletic Club, as well as on social media with his new venture at First Intention. It's a fencing account geared towards educating the people who have less fencing resources than Dylan did, and he's just working to pay it forward and end the gatekeeping in our beautiful sport. So if you're interested in a journey of dedication, love of the game, and wanting to help other people improve while becoming better himself, then Dylan's story in this episode is just for you. Thanks for listening. What up?
Yo.
Hey,
welcome.
Dylan. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for
just got here.
Yeah. This is fun. This is someone who's been a part. This is the first person, Steven, who's been a part of a direct elimination production before being on the podcast.
Yeah. So for the true direct elimination fans, this is a familiar face.
Canon event.
Yeah, for the truest ones that have also checked in on our live streams that have been really fun to put out.
True.
Lately. But for those who don't know, we have Dylan Nollner here with us in the studio. He is a very, very good friend of Steven and I, and he's also a very accomplished fencer. He's been ranked as high as #1 in the United States. I'm not sure what your highest world rank was. It was top 100, I think.
Yeah,
that year.
Mid season, I think it was top 50 somewhere.
I thought you were in like the 30-somethings.
I think I capped out after Pan Am's at like 47.
All right. So at one point, top 47 in the world.
Don't quote me on that.
But still, very accomplished fencer, many-time medalist, and champion in the United States. And he's had quite a wealth of experience internationally.
Two-time All-American.
Two-time All-American as well. And now currently embarking on a really cool new venture on the coaching side of things that we're going to share with you guys and talk a little bit about today. But for keeping it short's sake and just jumping right into it, Steven, let's welcome Dylan Nollner.
Woo! Thanks for having me, y'all.
All right.
And thanks for pulling back the curtain so I could see what goes on here
Yeah, of course.
for the third time.
Also, I don't think we have to lean. I always have this thing. I'm only leaning to make sure my words go to Steven, and because if I just turn like this, people can't hear me. I feel like.
Anyway, welcome, Dylan. We
Thank
are
you.
very excited to have you here. So I guess we'll just get right into it. I mean, I'm sure we'll chat more about your current ventures and what you're up to in the sport now, but in the interest of keeping it classy, how'd you get into fencing? Where are you from? Who are you?
What a question. I'm glad we're keeping it classy here today. So I'm from the beautiful city of Ogden, Utah. I was born in California. For the people who are going to ask, no, I'm not Mormon. No shade to Mormons, but it always gets asked when you, as Steven, as you know, as a honorary Utahn now, it's the question on everyone's mind. So moved out to Utah to be closer to my mom's parents when I was 1.5 or 2.
Where were you born? What city?
San Mateo in the Bay.
Mateo.
Yeah, my dad's side of the family's from California. Moved out and was just kind of a normal kid going to a public high school, or not even high school at this point, but I saw fencing in a James Bond movie, Die Another Day, when I was in 6th grade, I believe. And I was like, Mom, I want to try this. This is really cool. It's not the most unrealistic fencing scene, I think. You know, Leon Paul, I think, was a sponsor for that movie. So she was like, we live in Utah. There's no way you're going to find fencing in Utah in the suburbs. And back in the day, I went to our yellow pages, pulled down the phone book, and found a lot of companies that put up fences. But eventually I did find a sport fencing club called Wasatch Fencing. Steven, I know you've been there. Started there, and then I got the bug, and I was hooked ever since.
That's awesome. And you worked for the first half of your career with Kenny Nopens, right?
Yeah, he was not my first coach. Ron,
okay.
I started with Ron Hendricks, actually doing foil at Wasatch. And then Kenny Nopens, great coach, has sent multiple students to cadet and junior world championships. Extremely accomplished for coming out of a relatively backwater place like Ogden. So we'll probably talk more about Kenny. But yeah, started with him after he came as an assistant coach to that club, and I was, probably 12, maybe 13, was dabbling in foil and épée, and I really liked the feeling of beating adults in épée because there were a lot more adults who did it at the time rather than just like other kids doing foil. So I was doing both for a bit and then really committed to épée when I was probably 14 or 15 or so when I got to the NAC circuit and was like, whoa, I'm way better at NACs doing épée than foil. Alex Masialos was coming in as like a 10-year-old and just beating everyone who's older. So I'm like, I think I found my calling. And trained with him until I was 18 when I went off to college.
Nice.
Sabers, patience, foils, finesse, quiet foundations.
Ari, recently I've had to come face to face with a terrible truth. I am officially getting older. My body is not as spry and young as it once was, and I've had to shift my focus to keep fencing into things like recovery, warming up, stretching, like things that I never could have conceived of when I was younger. And if you're listening to this and you're younger than me, it's around the corner for you. Now, here at Direct Elimination, we have something that can help. Our partner on this podcast, Myo, M-Y-O, has locations in New York, Los Angeles, Calgary, Vancouver, and Toronto. So if you're a listener of this podcast in any of those cities or near any of those cities, be sure to go ahead and check them out. Myo is modern physical therapy to future-proof your body. They are opening people's eyes to how their body can move, and I am one of those people, proud to say. With Myo's help, I've been able to recover from multiple injuries, and I've gained a better sense of how my body moves and how I'm able to interact in space, and it's honestly helped my fencing a bit too. If you're interested in booking a session in modern physical therapy, use code DIRECTMYO100 for $100 off your first session. Again, that is DIRECTMYO100 for $100 off your first session at Myo. Ari, I have some sad news. I'm retiring my practice mask. But you want to know the good news? I got a new pre-air mask! Life is good when you get some brand new pre-air equipment. It fits a little better, it shines a little brighter, and you know what? I've always believed in not just fencing, but any athletics, right? You look good, you feel good, you perform good. So if you want to look good on the strip, be sure to go buy yourself some pre-air equipment at preairusa.com.
And then after college, you moved to the New York City area, but not immediately, right?
True.
And then you wound up with the latter half of your career working with Coach Aladar Kogler, who has been mentioned many times on this podcast. Do you mind just walking us through just the Spark Notes version, and then we'll kind of grill you, really, is what's going to happen.
The Spark Notes version of which part?
Of just, post-university or even during university, Just give us info that we
the
can latch on
all-American
to.
flair, maybe.
Yeah. So, no, Duke was a good scene. We had Becca Ward there at the time, so the program was getting a lot of attention, a lot of funding, and we had strong fencers coming. And, coming from Utah, I was like, it's kind of funny in retrospect looking at like that to me being a strong program. We were probably ranked between 8 and 10 at the time, which is still up there. But compared to having very few people to fence with in Utah, it was like, I was in heaven. I was getting to train with strong guys, John Parker, Tristan Jones, some of these names from back in the day. But when I was back in Utah, I was really just like, how do I get the younger kids that I'm training with to get better and be, competent training partners? So guys like Wes Johnson, Gabe McDonald, those were kids that I've known since they were, chubby 8, 9, 10-year-olds. And it was really just like, let's get them up to speed and be good training. But Duke was good. I was working with Alex Beganet, another USA fencing legend. He helped run the coaching college for a long time. Very like fundamental French sort of coach. And then after college, I knew I wanted to continue with it because I just had a big love for the sport, and I felt like my ceiling was higher than what I'd accomplished with seniors to that point. And so I was planning to go train at the OTC at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. Jimmy Moody was there, Jason Pryor was there, and it was a good program at the time. And I was like getting ready to get paperwork ready, and they had just an abysmal result at World Championships that year. They got their funding cut. So that very quickly shifted the program for me. And so I ended up moving to Salt Lake City, not too far.
2015 by chance?
Yeah, 2014, 2015.
2015 when we lost to Canada at Worlds?
Yeah, that was the funding cut.
That was tough. I was there.
Yeah.
That was hard to watch.
So
glad I ruined your dreams for you.
Wait, you were on that? That was the team you were on?
Yeah, I actually
Did you fence at that Worlds?
No, I fenced individual. I got taken off for the team event, and
Maybe that's why funding got cut.
Yeah.
I have.
Put in our boy.
How could we not put Ari Simmons in? That's an oversight.
I would say
Deserve
that
to get the funding cut.
right.
at the time, as frustrated as I was, it seemed inevitable based on the path we were going down.
It's fair. We've recovered since then.
Yeah, we're on the come up.
Exactly. So I went back, moved to Salt Lake City, was working there for like the year after I graduated, and was training again with Kenny. Schoolhouse Fencing was his new club, and we had a good program going there. But ultimately, like we've talked about, like you and Steven have both done, New York City is the mecca for U.S. fencing. At least it was the only mecca back then. I think Houston has popped up as a viable senior training ground in recent years, but that was the city on the hill for me, and so ended up moving out here late 2016, and based on New York Athletic Club funding, which was my club and still is my club today. Dr. Aladar Kogler was a coach there, and I knew, based on the scores of Olympians that he's produced, if I can, and he would accept me as a student at his ripe old age, that would be the coach that I wanted to work with. And eventually he took
How
me
old
on.
was he at this point? 80?
Definitely 80s. He's 93 now.
So 83.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
must have been
83, 84.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
At 83 years old, you're like, can I be your student? I mean, we just need to give more information. You're the most recent Aladar student to be on this podcast.
Yeah.
And I want people to actually have a slightly more vivid image of what this is like. Because, most 83-year-olds aren't being asked and begged in many ways to work with in any field, right?
True.
But this guy managed to stay sharp and impactful and wise and healthy for so long that he was able to continue helping people like you have your best moments in fencing in his 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So please just let's dive into Aladar.
What was that? So starting from, how do you approach an 83-year-old Yoda figure and say, can I pretty please have a lesson?
I got lucky because I had a number of my friends who were already taking lessons. So Jake Hoyle, James Call, a bunch of other folks were taking lessons with him already. And so I was able to have them be my in and say, new student, here's his resume, here's his accomplishments.
Oh, so you knew 5 actives.
Exactly. It was
You
easy.
named 5 brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right, you can come in.
Yeah.
I actually learned years later, this is kind of funny, that originally the first couple months he agreed to take me on because he wanted me to be a good drill partner for other people. And then quickly he was like, okay, I think this guy has some potential.
That's really
here.
funny.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, if I can motivate him to just do drills.
Exactly. Be a good dummy.
Yeah, that's funny. It sounds like you were one of the best dummies.
Yeah. It
Even
was
today.
it was a thing where learning from him was such a complete system. He taught a pretty pure Hungarian system that I'd never been exposed to outside, like, picking Cornell's brain a little bit, or, we
Shout
did
out Cornell Udvareli.
Bocce, as we say.
Shout out Bocce. No way he's listening to this podcast.
We'll send it to him. But Hungarians, as any senior fencer knows, are some of the strongest in the world and are renowned for strong technique, strong blade work in that system. And so to be able to learn from one of the best was a no-brainer. And I took, as you know, extremely extensive notes on basically every lesson I took. I'm a big proponent of keeping a fencing journal. That was something that Kenny had installed since I was young, to, write thoughts down, write things that you need. You remember things much better when you're putting pen to paper. and it just shifts to a little bit different of a part of your brain versus this like subconscious cloud of thoughts and ideas that you have. But when you actually have to articulate it in paper, it sometimes makes things more clear. But for me, it was a nice way to know exactly, okay, we did these 4 things in a lesson today. I sucked at this one, so I need to drill this. And that made the plan forward for a technical training much easier.
Nice.
I guess we've heard from former Aladar students, right? Just some of the legendary, they've painted the picture of the man, the myth, the legend, right? What are some of those moments for you looking back on your time with him where it was like, this is the man, the myth, the legend, like transcendental meditation? Any good stories that you could, that pop to, immediately come to mind?
Oh, wow. I mean, as already alluded to a little bit, every day of him walking in was kind of legendary. Like the fact that he was still at such a high level at his age was absolutely insane. But the first thing that really blew my mind was, I don't know if people listening have seen this, like this vacuum that some yoga teachers are able to do. I think it's called Nauli, Nauli, but it's this like stomach vacuum. And if you're very talented, you can like move your diaphragm in waves, which is like crazy abdominal control, lung control, breathing control. And to see him pull it off was really wild. Like he would just lift his shirt up and suck. You could just see his ribs, which you normally could because he was, 100 pounds soaking wet. But to just see his diaphragm move, after giving a full hour-long lesson was pretty astounding. But that's the other thing too, I'll say, is just the endurance of lessons was crazy. We would sometimes do 60 to 90-minute lessons because the repertoire and the amount of drills that he knew was just insane. And so if you had some technical fault and you would screw up somewhere, you'd take it back 2 or 3 steps, and then you'd evolve, and then you'd work on it, and then everything would start to build to a preparation. And so just the encyclopedic knowledge of how many different actions we can pull off that all stem from the same, root of a tree was pretty mind-blowing too. But you touched on transcendental meditation. I think that's another big piece of it too.
That's a big piece that everybody mentions, right? Everybody likes to imagine, he's going to make me take 4 good. I'm going to have a nice little, this hand touch the outside hand touch, right? Like he's going to teach me the secret moves. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the foundation of all of this is the mental piece, right? The mental approach, borderline spiritual approach for how to go about this sport.
Yeah.
So what was that piece like for you, and like how much of your training was around this mental piece?
Yeah, it's a good question. So ultimately, he would always instill in us, there's 4 pillars to being a great fencer. And you can be a good fencer if you only have 2 or 3 of them. But if you really want to be elite, you have to train these 4 simultaneously. So it's physical, technical, tactical, and mental. And he would always complain that the big issue with the Hungarian school at the moment is they're neglecting the mental portion. And so like some tournament would come in, like Japan would beat Hungary in the semis, or they wouldn't medal. And so you see, they're neglecting the mental side. None of these guys are training the mental aspect. And so, which I love, it all boils down that simply. But for his credentials, he is a PhD scientist, and he was conducting a lot of studies when he was back in Hungary, and continued some of those longitudinal studies after he came to the U.S. I know Keith Smart listed in that episode, and he mentioned, he would send certain kids to do saber or foil based on physical or mental attributes that they had. And so he would do this slew of tests, and that was one of the first things I did when I was probably 6 months in. He had 10 or 12 of us do triple jumps and test your hand speed and test your grip strength. And it was just because he had amassed so much data that went towards top athletes. And I remember one anecdote on that note was there was some camp back in 2008 or 2010 at New York Athletic Club, and he still had the data, and he said the 2 Hurley sisters scored like off the charts in terms of hand speed, how many times they could hit a target in a certain amount of time. And I think, this was before their Olympic medals. And he was like, just based on the data alone, like no wonder those two are amazing athletes. And so that was his mindset. And so he had published some of the first books on yoga and transcendental meditation in Eastern and Central Europe and Hungary at the time. And so that was his mindset. But ultimately, as it pertains to fencing, what I can boil it down to is a few things that I remember him telling me. One is the best coping strategy is not to have one, which sounds very kind of woo-woo and abstract. And then the second is no thought, no mind. And he really revered
Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai.
Yeah, I'm getting to Japan, but he really does revere. I'm talking past tense. He's still alive at 93 and kicking. So just to make that clear for the audience, past tense
We
only
have to
when
release this tomorrow.
Yeah, no,
or right now.
he'll be kicking for a while. I can tell. But the idea is if you are able to detach yourself from thoughts and the results as much as you can, you are able to reach this flow state easier. And I know, we've all been top athletes and had great days where we're winning competitions or beating good people. We've all entered that flow state, right? Where we're not thinking about anything except the tactics and changing and how we want to score, right? And so the more that you train meditation and detachment, the easier in theory it is to reach that flow state. And so that's a lot of what the transcendental meditation is to notice when you're clinging to thoughts that will be distracting and about, and be able to refocus on the only thing that's important, whether that's a mantra, whether that's focusing on your breathing. And ultimately, even some coping mechanisms like telling yourself you can do it or not worrying about the results because you're focused on another cue, still at the end of the day is a thought. And the ultimate flow state is when you have none of those thoughts and you're only purely thinking about the tactics. This person did this, so I did this, what's next? And you're not thinking about anything else. So that fundamentally is the reason that meditation was such a powerful tool for him and for his students, because at the end of the day, if you can be focused on the bout and only the bout and the tactics in front of you, you're going to have better success.
I love that. So let's pivot here a little bit.
Cool.
So right now you're coaching, but prior to that, you were fencing quite competitively, embarking on the same journey that Steven and I are on and that we love highlighting here, working full-time, training in New York. You might have even been, I know you are for me, and even for Steven, you might have been one of the archetypes for how to do this well.
Yeah,
and
appreciate that.
I think you're awesome at that, and you're number one in the country the year before the Olympics. We're talking about something painful. Let's go. The year before the Olympics, you are number one in the country. You're having the best season of your career, and 1 year later, you're never competing again. Less than 1 year later.
Yeah.
So are you comfortable sharing with us just a little bit of, what went down there? Because we've talked about it, but we haven't addressed it in a while, and rehashing it is something that could be really interesting for people, because I think your perspective is a fairly impressive one given how most people part ways with the sport. So if you don't mind just sharing that whole what you went through in that moment and what led to that decision and why you're here today.
Yeah, happy to share. So I think probably mid Paris Olympic quad, I knew that I didn't want to do another one. Just you can feel the cost of giving so much to any endeavor as you go through it. So we all know that the missed weddings, the missed promotions at work, not doing enough, the missed money that could have been made. It sets you on a different path on life. And speaking of weddings, I missed my friend, one of my best friends, Dez's wedding because I was in Istanbul. And
with us.
I know, but it puts an extra amount of pressure on you. You feel that you have to do something extra special because of the cost that you're giving up. And there was just so many trade-offs like that in my life that it wasn't worth it for me to continue. I felt that I'd pushed myself as far, maybe not as far as I could go, but within the time constraints that I'd given myself. And ultimately, I think the reason that we continue to do this sport and love this sport is because it is an opportunity it's an opportunity for mastery, right? And it's, if I give 100% to this thing, how good can I be? And that's a super fun challenge. And so for me at the time, Olympics obviously is the ultimate goal. I didn't attain that, which was a little outside my control, definitely within it from an individual standpoint. And so, I was comfortable having given everything to at that point walk away. So, reaching number one was a cool accomplishment. Ultimately, it was a nice to have. It wasn't the ultimate goal. Even the Olympics is not an ultimate goal. These are all accolades that come after as a result of the process and you doing the right things every day. And so if I could walk away from the sport and honestly tell myself I did everything in my power to do this, then I can't have any qualms. I just didn't want to look back 10 years after retiring and wish I had tried harder, or wish I had done something more. So that's the reason I was able to step away super cleanly from competing was, I'd done everything I could. So there's no way I could have any regrets after, putting in the hours that I did.
Yeah. So what is I have a follow-up question, but for me, I think like as we get deeper and deeper into this journey and talking about what it is that we actually are driven by in the sport, obviously everyone wants to go to the Olympics. Obviously we want it more than people who say they want it and then just stop. But we all want to win, all this stuff. I think for me right now, I want to get a chance to compete with the best people at any given moment as often as possible and put up a fight and or beat them. And I think that for me right now is the goal.
The love of the game.
The love of the game, but specifically I want to compete against people that are the status quo right now. Like get to a point where I get to fence the, today Galassi, Sikloshi, Koki Kano, outside of the US. And in the US, I want to be fencing, my teammates that are very challenging opponents, people like Sam Imrick, people like anyone that's high on the ranking that I've fenced or haven't fenced. Like I want to fence them. And the more of those bouts I get, I think the happier that I'll be as a competitor. What about you?
See, it's not for me. It's not so much about I want to match up with these guys. Like I do implicitly, and I want the competition experience. Like the more I reflect on it, and the more I'm down on my luck results wise, it's like I miss fencing. Been fencing all day. It's 6 p.m. You're in the top 8. You're on a nice little top 8 pod, right? The room's getting emptier of other competitors. There's a little bit more people watching. Like that's such a fun experience, right? And then winning those bouts is even more fun, right? So I just like reminisce on like even, fencing like a Y12 SYC or RYC or whatever. Like you're going through a whole day and it gets smaller and smaller and it's more and more intense. Like I just want that experience of doing well at competitions, not for the accolades, but for those experiences.
For the extended time on strip.
The extended time on strip, yeah.
And every bout is different.
Also, I will add, I missed traveling so much internationally. Like,
it's bad when you retire.
Yeah.
I get the itch.
Yeah.
Dude, I have the itch right
Even
now.
for Heidenheim, I'd like to be on a train from Frankfurt.
Same.
Yeah.
I can't. Dude, you got to have the itch. I can't even get back out there yet. Like I'm just trying. I totally understand that weird thing where it's almost like a Stockholm syndrome maybe because they don't send us to the best locations. It's pretty grueling to get there, but you fall in love with it. The whole time you're just saying, Heidenheim sucks. I would never go back to Heidenheim. And then now that I'm not going to Heidenheim, I kind of am craving the walk down the hill.
Like maybe that water slide isn't so bad.
Yeah.
Whatever the last time we went to Bern was, when we were going to Bern.
Oh, the
the
night show market with the band.
Glug, the sweet glug.
Yeah.
I do love that band. Just for the audience, in Bern, for whatever reason, the last couple times that we were there in Switzerland, there's like a big Christmas festival where all these little cadres of
big
families
brass.
and schools play covers of popular music with like tubas and trombones, and they all dress up, and we're just wandering around as dumb Americans. They're drinking sweet wine,
like hot wine, right?
The hot vine.
hot vine.
Yeah, hot vine.
It's a blast.
It is a blast. But
Going back to the Stockholm syndrome thing, I have this distinct memory of the last time I was in Bern. I was on the train and we're pulling into Vernon like 10 in the morning, and the song Paradise City popped into my head. And I was like,
You're home.
Bern is Paradise City. Like, this is the best. I'm so happy to be in Bern, Switzerland.
I can't relate to that.
But like 12 months before, I was sitting there like, we got to go to Bern. There's nothing to do. Like, but because of those experiences that we made out of that situation, right? And I'll say this now. I was reflecting today when Ari and I were texting about this episode. You know, what do you want to talk to Dylan about? What are we going to ask Dylan? Those two like seasons where we were traveling together and like doing well together, the number of inside jokes
It's true.
that came out of these competitions and like little experiences at these.
Turkey number one.
Turkey number one. Hot wine, the Burn slasher, like all these little things. Like it was
I thought it was a
It's the
Heidenheim.
Heidenheim slasher.
No,
No, it is the
it's-
Burn
it's the
slasher.
Burn slasher.
Heidenheim has
Oh,
an
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
different villain.
DM for details.
We're gonna catch him this year, guys.
that misty night in Burn.
Oh, Nooch.
Hound of the Baskervilles very much is
Yeah.
what it gives.
Yeah, but just like that, those 2 seasons, the number of like little inside jokes that all stemmed from nights out with Dylan.
He's a funny guy.
He's
You know what? That
hilarious.
actually reminds me of something. And I don't think that it was a coincidence that we had great seasons and enjoyed ourselves this much. When you are enjoying the process and happy and life is good, guess what? You're going to fence better.
And I think there are some pretty strong friendships coming out of that travel squad in particular. This group is one of them. Justin was a part of that. You had... That's when
Young Sam.
Emmerich, that's when Sam Emmerich
Yeah.
started to come up, and now he's a part of our group. You know, I really cherish him. You know,
Dealing with Sam losing his wallet,
Yeah.
losing his passport,
yeah.
losing his
But
fencing
also
bag.
watching him hit the circuit and start beating people was awesome.
Yeah, I remember. I think it might have been his first senior Doha. Was that his first one?
Yeah.
He was fencing Jakob Jurka, I think in a preliminary DE,
Yes,
maybe
to
even
make the
pools.
second day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
prelim DE, and I think every eye in the venue was watching this
Like
bout.
Olympic champions were
Yes.
watching this,
Yes.
and just everyone stopped.
Time stopped to watch Sam take these shots at Jurka, who was just shaking his head. He couldn't believe what was happening. I think Jurka did win that bout,
did
but
win.
yeah.
it was close.
I think that's great. And to comment on Steven's thing, you know, do you miss the competition experience? That the waking up knowing that your stomach is churning a little bit.
I hate competing, so no, I actually
You are a
do
practice legend, actually.
Yeah.
I do not miss competing whatsoever. I hate NACs. It's a way for me to, put all of the practice hours into a single day. And so I'll do it because I have to, but it's not the reason I love fencing. I love fencing for the creativity, for, the athletic feeling, the flow state that you get into. But I really, especially, one thing in your later years when you see the clock ticking on your career, you're going to retire, you're getting older, whatever, is you really are like, oh, I'm not going to be doing this that much. And it's easy to put more pressure in those situations. And so that was also something I really had to actively fight against. But no, I don't miss competing at all.
You hit the flow state last night, I'm pretty sure.
That's
You're
true.
hitting my hand repeatedly. That was
Ari and I
awesome.
did a fencing lesson, a bouting style lesson.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, certain tactics to work on.
It was very useful.
It's cool that I still have it. Just
Oh, yeah.
fencing once a quarter.
He's still got it. I think it's closer to like once every other month.
Yeah, that feels right.
Roughly, and one lucky night for everyone at the New York Athletic Club, Dylan will just decide to put on his stuff because I don't know what drives those days. You just wake up feeling like you want to fence, or you just see enough people that
the
you want to
vibe.
beat up.
It's
the vibe.
The
It's
shark
a
smells
vibe.
blood.
The shark smells blood, and yeah, it destroys us.
So, so I do have
I have a follow up.
yeah, well, we kind of touched on you're fencing once a month, but you're also coaching now.
Yeah.
I think I had a better segue for that.
Oh, well
Exact
then
same
go.
thing.
Then you
Fix
can
and post.
segue. I have a
No, you go first.
well. I have a specific.
We'll see whose is better, and then we'll fix it.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
post.
yeah.
All right.
You
Well,
go
I had a
first.
specific coaching question, so you can go ahead and take over now.
I already lost it.
Well, then
That was the segue.
I'm sorry.
Lordy.
All right. What Steven was saying,
oh, so I am going.
you're going.
Okay.
I ruined that.
So you're coaching now.
Yeah.
What was it like to sort of start coaching, how did you decide this is how I'm going to teach, this is what I'm going to teach? Because you don't have any formal coaching training, right? You have notebooks on notebooks of your lessons, and you are sort of the torch carrier of Aladar now, right? Of Aladar's
One
teachings.
of the. There are a few.
But-
Lorenzo Casertano's coaching right now.
Ben Bratton.
Ben Bratton
Bratton,
is
okay.
coaching. Dwight.
But I would say,
John Normile.
Yeah, John, of course.
Trying to think. There are definitely at least a few more out there. But your hour.
yeah.
That's right.
Well, I also feel,
You see it all the time.
yeah, I don't know, just like visually to me, it looks the most representative of
I
it.
got to start whipping out the hop, hop, hopla.
That is something you need to start whipping out. But so I guess how do you adapt and condense a system like that?
Yeah. Well, first, I get imposter syndrome all the time. So that helps keep me sharp. But ultimately, we just lived and breathed in this system for 6-7 years. We had a squad of people who really were like, we're going to drill and do footwork and do lessons 5 to 6 days a week. And that was, I think, why at the time our squad was like incredibly successful, because we just had a bunch of people who were super committed to like, we want to get our technique and tactics as sharp as we can get them. And so when you're doing these drills, and I'm a huge component these days of doing drills, partner drills, as Ari, as you know, because I think it's more time to master these things. Like I often use music as an example, but like if you're taking piano lessons and you just go and take one lesson with a teacher a week, and then the rest of the time you're just trying to play songs, like it's not the most effective way to get good quickly. You're doing scales, you're doing arpeggios, you're doing these technical things. So by the time you're actually working with a coach one-on-one, you're able to get even more out of it because you're able to see on your own, okay, I struggle with these things. In a lesson last week, I struggled with this, but I worked on it every day and I perfected and sharpened this aspect. And so that was a way for us to just get more out of lessons with the coach. And then because we had kind of this ticking clock of like Olympics are coming up, how much training can we condense into one time period that's not just bouting footwork and lessons? And so doing drills like that, we're really just replicating the lessons. And so we would do it on our own. We would do drills with Aladar watching us. He would make corrections. Okay, this cue wasn't good enough. If you're doing an invitation, the hands needs to be here because of XYZ reason. The distance here is wrong. The purpose of this drill is to prompt XYZ. And so that, in a sense, was coaching training, even if we didn't think about it in that way at the time. And so I had this big, encyclopedia of all the actions from every lesson I ever took, but I remembered all of these actions because we drilled them so many times. And so even if it wasn't a formal coaching training in a traditional sense, I have no plans to get my maestroship or anything like that.
I mean, in the famous words of our friend Alex Sinnis, we're all
coaches here.
aren't we?
We're all coaches here.
So on that note, so you're giving lessons in the physical sense. You lead a class at the New York Athletic Club, a footwork class, and you're expanding.
One of these weeks I'll make it to the footwork class.
Just waiting for you.
I miss it.
6:30.
I miss it so much.
You know where and when it happens.
Yeah,
and
like
you're
clockwork.
you're one of the few people with 24/7 access.
Honest to God, one of them I had a doctor's appointment. The other two that I've missed,
forgets.
I just forgot it was Wednesday.
Just wakes up on Wednesday thinking it's Thursday and then remembers
Listen,
it's
it's a
Wednesday.
good thing. If your plan is to go to the AC every single day, it happens.
Yeah. So you're running these in-person, camps, clinics, classes. But another interesting thing that I really want to talk about is, and so does Steven, frankly, it's the only reason that we brought you here. No, just kidding. On social media, you are addressing the educational fencing content sphere of, awareness and just getting out there. And it's new, it's refreshing. It's something that we haven't seen before. It's a format that we definitely see in other types of content creation, whether it be cooking or lifestyle or even other sports. But fencing has had a lot of really bad content, which is one of the reasons we're here.
Shit ass podcast keeps
Yeah,
spewing out
and
clips.
we're obviously not the best at anything, but we did just want to try and elevate that. And you have done the exact same. And I just want to give a little bit of time and space for you to talk about what it is you're doing right now on Instagram and just in general what your plans and motivations are with that.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen these videos yet, go to @firstintention on Instagram. I was going to pitch that at the end, but you can go right now.
plug
Dylan
now.
is @firstintention on Instagram.
We'll plug it again.
And he makes very good educational videos right now for the épée community. I don't know if you have any plans to expand, but,
I do have
but
plans.
here we go. Just
Ooh.
share what you can.
Little teaser.
Yeah, so I think as many fencers know, we've had a gatekeeping issue in this sport. And I think a lot of it is,
continue to.
and continue to. I think a lot of it is logical, right? Like coaches are, at the end of the day, small business owners. And if they're doing well and their students are doing well in competitions, their business will grow, they'll make more money, they'll expand. And of course, coaches want to win. And so there is an incentive to keep your coaching style, your secrets close to the chest. If your students are winning, why would you share the things that got them to that point? It's logical, it's reasonable, I don't have a problem with it. But the issue is that it keeps the sport down, and I think a lot of people, when they retire from competitive fencing, if they don't want to go into coaching, they just keep all of the knowledge that they have with them. And I have no plans to be full-time coach. I still have a 9-to-5. This is a nice thing that I want to do because I still love the sport after my normal job. But I have no brick and mortar club. I have no reason to keep these secrets, especially for this system, which really is based on the fundamentals so much. Like a lot of our lessons are just like your hand should be here and not here, or this is how the tactical wheel works. And because not enough people are bringing some of these things out in the open, the level of the sport is not as high as it could be. And so ultimately my plans are to just share as much knowledge that not only I have, but I would love to partner with other coaches who would want to bring this sort of content out to a larger audience. Not even like a full course. Like we've seen some things from Coaches College and other, I saw, one of the Spanish coaches put out this long course that I thought was cool, but even just sharing little tidbits for free for a general audience, like happens with other sports, I think rising tide will lift all boats. And so that ultimately is my goal, is to try and demystify and bridge the gap between some of these higher level athletes and lower ones, because I know how it feels to be in that situation. When I was fencing in middle school and high school in Utah, we were just winging it, Kenny, my coach, and I were just, talking back and forth. I think this because of XYZ. Maybe we had one old DVD of World Championships to work on. This is pre-YouTube. And we're just trying to critically will ourselves to get better, right? Unless you're blessed enough to live in a New York tri-state area, Houston, LA, it's hard to have access to high-level coaches. And so that's what I'm aiming to bring. So even if you are in one of these nice markets, there are different ways to think about the sport. If you're living in a smaller
there are
market,
plenty of people in a nice market who haven't thought critically about it.
Yeah,
They're just going and fencing and reaping the benefits of being in a nice market.
it's true.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's always helpful to get different perspectives too. But no, I think that's I like the way you transitioned into it from the secrets close to the chest. Why would you keep your secrets close to the chest?
I have no need to.
Yeah.
And it's true.
That's
I mean,
really
we
cool.
see it so much in the fencing community, and I get it to an extent, but at the same time, it's something that's always upset me. As you know, I'm very much team focused. I think that I have no secrets about my game. Like if someone can beat me and challenge me to improve myself to beat them,
You wouldn't need to keep a secret about
that's
your
the
game.
point.
It's so predictable.
But I never try to avoid debriefing. I am the most predictable fencer ever, but I always don't shy away from debriefing, talking, trying to just improve myself and my opponent so that it consistently gets harder and harder for me to beat them.
Yeah, I think this is something that I've ran into multiple times across my fencing career too, is like working. I remember when I was in high school, we did a camp with Sebastian DeSantos, and that was the first time we'd really done a big debrief with other people who you're trying to beat. There's a tournament at the end of this camp, and yet still you're talking openly about tactics, what people are doing successful against you, what you're doing well. And then the same thing goes with, this American team. We're trying to qualify a team for Olympics and trying to do well at Worlds. If everyone's keeping their secrets and their tactics close, American fencing is going to stay stay lower than it could be if we're able to talk honestly about what's working. We're at a disincentive with how many strong men's épées there are to share those secrets, because of course you want to be on the travel squad, you want to make the top 4. And so that's a tricky balance. But at the end of the day, I applaud you guys for being open about it, because that's the way that American épée fencing gets great.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We're running short on time here, so this is first of many episodes for Dylan. As you guys know, he's a large member of our new live streaming initiative, and we're going to have him on a lot more. Before we go into rapid fire, last question for you.
What if I have another one?
Steven, if you have another question, this will be the last question.
No, you can ask yours.
I don't even have one.
You don't even have one?
I was going to come up with it on the spot.
Oh, well, I got one.
Okay, I also have one, but I want you to go because I'm a ball hog.
So, endearingly, a couple of us have referred to you as Coach Daddy D. But I think that...
Very different types of questions we had for the record.
To my knowledge, I don't have any offspring.
Where that's sort of evolved from is just that you are this sort of, like Ari mentioned, that you're this like pillar in the phenotype of what it is to be a fencer in New York, a worker and a fencer in New York.
And just balance it well.
Just
like
have a balanced
you have a good life.
And good results.
We look up to you.
Appreciate that.
As somebody who a lot of us in the community and a lot of us who are going through what you went through for 8 years, what's your biggest piece or pieces of advice for doing this thing that is living in New York, working and pursuing,
or just being an
high-level fencing?
adult, and
being an adult,
being anyone who has this passion and
or
is
any
trying to
passion.
balance it out. Yeah.
Okay, we'll summarize it as an adult who has a passion outside of work.
Let's zoom it out.
Yeah.
That's not our main listener base. What is your main advice for balancing passion with something else that you have? Work, school, the
Real
traditional
life.
thing.
So I like what Keith said on his episode of buying gifts. I think that stems from being transparent about what you're doing in the company that you're working for. I think it's easy to be like, I don't want them to know I'm a fencer. I don't want them to think I'm working less. It's something that's unique about you. And so I think being open and transparent about that with your manager, with the rest of your team, is a really cool and unique thing, and helps build more connections internally. The other thing I'm going to say...
That goes for college too. Be
Totally.
transparent, or high school. Be transparent with your teachers, your professors, your principals. If you have this thing going on and you have access to these people and they know who you are and they might be wondering why you're a little distracted or something like that, setting the precedent as early on as possible has been something that's helped me in plenty.
That was
plenty
every
of other
time I
people.
was in a new class, had a new professor, new teacher, whatever. I went up
Introduce yourself.
after the first day of class, like first lecture, and I spent 10, 15 minutes. Said, hey, I'm going to be in Eastern Europe multiple times during our course. Just so
Please
you know.
forgive. America.
The second thing I'll say is I think there is a thought when you're at a 9 to 5 that this is precious time that's taking away from my fencing training. And I had that same mindset for a long time. But to Ari's point, it adds a level of balance to your life that I think actually is really helpful and will complement your fencing career. If you are all in on fencing, you have every egg in that basket. And so when a tournament goes poorly, you are going to judge yourself twice as hard. And it's much harder to look from a 10,000-foot holistic view at your life and what success means to you when you're so hinged exclusively on fencing, right? And so to be able to have a job, or this goes for school too, to be able to pour yourself and try and take pride in what you're doing that's something that's outside of fencing will make your fencing career and your mind work better. One thing that I think is often overlooked is the best fencers often are the smartest people. If you look at point standings, those are smart people who are at the top of the point standings. They're able to think creatively. They're able to understand tactics at a deep level. And so if you are spurning your studies or your work to just go in and do footwork all the time, I don't think that's a good idea. You should try to make yourself the most complete person. It'll add balance, but also make you a better fencer to be thinking critically about things that are outside of the sport.
That's that Aladar right there. I mean, think about all the people we've interviewed that are former Aladar students. We've talked about this
rich.
multiple. No, not just just they've found success. They've been very balanced as individuals for the most part, and they see the world through a totally different lens, a balanced lens, and they understand that maybe they're not balanced. We're all perfectionists. We're all very hard workers.
True.
We're all not quote unquote normal per se, but you guys are balanced. Zen. My question was, would you have kept fencing if the World Fencing League was an opportunity for you?
How much they paying?
We don't know yet, but we do know that people are getting paid to fence, and it's a huge thing. It's a huge opportunity. This prospect of, getting to be a professional athlete or even semi-professional to an extent greater than where we're at right now is huge for a lot of fencers. And if that was something that wasn't on the horizon, but it was something that existed, would you have considered?
Hard to say.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
Would you consider
a return?
a return if
That paycheck would have to be
what's
10 feet wide and made
Okay.
out of cardboard.
All right, fair. But yeah, I guess, are you excited about the prospect of getting to watch pro fencing?
100%. It would be a huge step forward for the sport that's been too niche for too long. I mean, it's been growing organically for a long time thanks to the work of, U.S. fencing. I think that we're consistently growing, and I think that will continue. But more press is good, and if there's a way to put on an entertaining show and showcase it in a way that normies will understand the reasons that we love it, I think that's a good thing. They are normies. I'm sorry.
No, I love that. I love that take. Well, as an avid listener to our show, you know exactly what's coming right now.
Mukbang.
No, yeah, you wish. But essentially, we have a segment that's never going away.
The name is too good.
We have a segment that's never going away. One light answers. You put on a lot of one lights on me yesterday, so you know exactly how this goes. You got to hit first. You got to be fast. And ultimately, we're going to ask you some questions that you probably already heard before and some that you haven't. So, Steven,
Take it away.
Take it away.
2 favorite fencers all time.
Pavel Kolobkov. Park Kyung-do.
Ooh, I do love me a Park KD foot touch. What's the favorite city you've been to for fencing?
Not Heidenheim. Sorry. I don't know if it was my favorite at the time, but in retrospect, it was cool that I got to go to Moscow. 2012. We were on strict lockdown, and I really don't remember anything about the city, but
It was cool.
it was cool.
Okay.
Oh, it's back to me.
Yeah, you're playing ping pong.
Sorry.
Marty Supreme.
What's something that was in your equipment bag that probably shouldn't be?
Nice past tense there. You know what's funny is I'm prepping to go to a clinic tomorrow, and I was looking through my old fencing bag, and there was still a granola bag in there, or a granola bar.
Nice.
So
Was it moldy?
I didn't open it. I
You
went
didn't,
straight in the
you
trash.
didn't taste one? All right, fair.
But that was usually the case, is it would be some granola bar sunk to the bottom, mask and bell guards smushing it, and it was just crumbs.
That's gross.
It's a classic.
Who's the hardest bout that you've ever fenced?
At Worlds in Moscow, I was feeling good, top 16. Marco Ficara. I had never.
He was very
I had
good.
never fenced something like that
Fencing
before.
him so uncomfortable.
Yes.
He was just like awkward angles, like the hand position.
I'm pretty sure he just pushed me to the end of the strip and took 4 and reposted every single time.
Tough.
I'm going to reuse a question that I used in the Tristan episode. You have to live 10 years without leaving in Bern with Heidenheim cuisine or Heidenheim with Bern cuisine. Which one are you taking?
I'm taking Heidenheim cuisine. We got that nice duck
Schwabian
spot with
food,
grandma. I
baby.
love Schwabian pasta.
Oh my gosh.
No question.
All right.
Me with queso for 10 years would not be good.
Yeah. Last question from me. If you had to assemble an all-around top 4 team of Aladar students that you know of, who's that men's épée team?
Men's épée only
Yeah.
in their prime
Sure, yeah.
or right now.
In their prime.
I'm going John Normile. I'm going Jake Hoyle. I'm going with
and this is hard for the people listening. It's not just people that he's gotten to see fence. A lot of this is coming from stories and just knowing how people speak about other people and even getting to know them. It's not an easy question.
I'm going with, I've never seen him fence, but I'm going with Jakob Jurka's dad.
Wait, what?
That's a
Yeah.
real thing.
This is some lore I wasn't aware of.
It's a real thing.
Wow.
If you watch his fencing, baby Jurka, you can see a lot of Hungarian, but like
he was given
bigger.
mental exercises before the Olympics by
Yeah, I
Aladar.
knew. I remember being told
Yeah.
that.
All right,
but-
well, who's the fourth?
we would get like packages, like, can you bring this to his father? Or maybe, I think it was grandfather, actually, excuse me. I'm going with grandpa.
Oh.
And number 4,
So cool.
I don't know how true this is, but I'm going with, I heard that George Mason took some lessons from him back in the day.
Okay, fair.
I'm going Lefty George.
First George shout out on this pod. Kudos for
No,
not
that's
putting
not the first
yourself
George
on there.
shout-out.
All right, Steven.
What's your favorite piece of Prior equipment?
The mask is iconic. I remember seeing the mask when I was a young boy.
You
That's
are
the winner.
an OG Prior mask guy.
Yeah, Dylan actually got to wear a Prior mask
True.
throughout his career.
Still do.
That was awesome. This was the first of a handful of Dylan episodes. We're going to be introducing a lot of different types of segments and other types of content for you guys, and Dylan's definitely going to be a huge part of that, part of the direct elimination universe. But
Wow.
this is his
He's
first.
one of the Avengers, man.
Yeah. This is his first, maybe only interview episode, but highly doubtful. And you guys will hear a lot more lore about his life and, our, shenanigans as he embeds himself more into our DNA of what direct elimination is. But thanks for being here, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
No, thank you, Dylan. Again, you're such an influential and big part of both Ari and my careers.
Appreciate that.
We're so thankful and happy to still have you in the sport as a coach, as a mentor, as a friend. I hope the audience got to enjoy learning a little bit about you. And be sure to look out for Dylan on upcoming live streams. There's going to be more in the future. Also, another shout out for @FirstIntention on social media. So be sure to check out his pages or his page for fencing knowledge, coaching knowledge, and great fencing content. The best fencing specific content out there on social media right
Try
now.
my best.
This was awesome. Thanks for coming on. Just can't wait to do this more. This is awesome.
Agreed.
And if you guys are interested in anything coaching related that you haven't seen yet on Dylan's Instagram,
We'll pick his brain.
send him a DM.
Hit me up.
He's down to message.
Thanks, y'all. Good stuff.
Cue the direct elimination theme song by Colin Campbell. Yeah, Steven,
What's that?
I've been making some results lately that are just short of where I want to be. And, I realized that since I've been edging myself so hard, I might as well just use edge to help me get an edge so that I will climb over that edge and be exactly where I'm trying to be in my results. Confident that my feet aren't slipping on the ground and that my shoes have the traction that they deserve. So go and buy yourself some edge using code ALLIN, that's ALL-IN, for a discount.
Ari, it's been a while, and I think it's time that I told the viewers just how much I love Prior's glove. I think this is the best fencing glove on the market. It has my 100% endorsement. I love it, man. I really love fencing with this glove, and I think everybody should go. I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, am begging with you to go buy one of these gloves and try it for yourself. Shop Prior USA, link in bio. Thank you all for your support of the podcast. We love doing it, and we couldn't do what we do without your support. So be sure to like, follow, share, and subscribe. Check us out on all platforms. And yeah, thank you so much. We couldn't do it without you guys.
It's time